And I just want to clarify, like, I'm really sorry if you felt like I was calling you stupid or trying to be like unfair or negative to you in any way.
Hello. We're gonna have a guest on stream pretty soon, 20 minutes. Misinfo has agreed to have a conversation about his video. I'm trying not to approach this from like an argumentative point of view. I don't think it's I think it's justified that I was as frustrated as I was, but I don't know if it's like productive to approach it in an argumentative way. Watching Misinfo's section where he does talk about Adu kind of shows the nuance that he does have for, I guess, both sides, which I appreciated that section for like Adu more than I appreciated the section from like myself, or I appreciated the whole thing. I don't know, it's kind of hard because I'm new to his content and I don't know the kind of charitability that he does afford to other people. That's what I was very frustrated about, is because I was like assuming, I think, the worst of the whole thing.
Hey, can you hear me? Wait, let me mute your stream.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Just clear, if you want to like finish the video first, that's fine too. Or like if we want to talk about your part before you watch the rest, that's fine as well.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I think I was just wanting to give context to like the way you were analyzing the Adu part in comparison to mine, because I didn't give that to my stream yesterday. I only gave like the context of your part about me yesterday, and so I watched that Adu section myself, and I wanted to let everyone else also have that context. That's why I was playing it. Yeah.
Yeah, go. Sorry.
No, first of all, I was going to say, do you mind like introducing yourself and like tell me a bit about you? Because I'm new to your channel. This video is like the first I've seen, but you have like a history of YouTube videos and everything.
Yeah, sure. So I'm like Monuments Misinformation. I kind of regret picking the name. When I first started out, I was doing like really long video essays on like major people who were spreading misinformation, like Rebel News. I kind of did a big thing on RV Yemeni, but I was like a lot younger, swore a lot, did some really edgy comedy. So I'm probably going to remake that one day.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I started. And now I was just covering like a lot more election policy stuff. And now just broadly, I'm just trying to kind of cover everything in the Ozpol space. That's generally where I'm at.
Yeah.
I think with this one, I kind of cared more just simply because like Adu was involved. Like I didn't know who you were before this happened, and I kind of watched a small amount of your stuff, but nothing really. I think that's probably led to some like miscommunication or like me misunderstanding some stuff.
Potentially, I think that's what exactly. I agree with that. Yeah. I kind of feel like I got lumped in with this. Probably what Geordie's feels like was like a almost like planned attack against him in a way. Like all of a sudden, it just seemed like all these people popping up. But I didn't even know about Adu before this, like before I made my post and everything. So.
No, that makes a ton of sense. Like, so I watched a couple of like stream clips last night, right? Or sorry, today from last night. And I just want to clarify, like, I'm really sorry if you felt like I was calling you stupid or trying to be like unfair or negative to you in any way. That like really wasn't my intention. And I'm really sorry if I made you feel that way or I came off that way just off the bat. Like that really wasn't my intention.
Yeah, I think so. I appreciate that. I also think like watching the rest of your video, which I did today as well, kind of recontextualize exactly like your approach to this. And that's why I kind of wanted to approach this more in like a conversation kind of way and just sort of like, I guess, introduce myself to you to us as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Because it does feel like I got lumped in this unfairly, and I've been kind of smeared with this like greens brush for what feels like has just been pulled out of everyone's asses. Like I don't really understand where that came from. I think you mentioned in this video, maybe in the end or whatever, that you were like covering Australian politics and like all parties or something like that over the lead up to the election. Is that right? Or am I?
Yeah, I did a huge video where I covered like every policy from like the Labor Liberals and the Greens, just because like I'm trying to give my audience like as much info as possible. I'm not interested in being like right, or I'm trying to be correct.
Yes, awesome. I love that. I did hear you say that earlier. Hold on, I want to show you my notes. I'll just pull them up on stream because we were essentially doing the exact same thing. I saw
you going through the 90 pages.
Holy shit, where do I have it? I'm trying to Australian Parliament. We had election 25. Holy shit, I'm pulling up on my stream. I don't know if you have
to Walshy, I don't have any contact with Geordies, and I'm not even like a long time viewer. I watched him when I was younger, and then I'll just kind of tune into his stuff. But like mostly, I kind of doing my own stuff at the moment. But that's that.
We have went through all these different political parties and just sort of analyzed all their policies and whatever. Because I was like very like floating around, didn't really have a political party to align myself with, didn't know everyone's feelings about everything. I'm very new to the like political space. And so I was just jumping in, not knowing anything about anything, trying to structure how I'm going to vote this election, and then trying to like bring people along as well. It sounds like kind of similar to what you were doing. Maybe you were like more cemented politically. Maybe you've been like more political a long time. I don't know. Have you?
Yeah, like my like parents are one of them's like American, so we got super invested in like the American politics, and especially with like Trump coming to power and my household hating him. I heard my mother like screaming at the TV and my dad having strong opinions. So I've always been pretty political. And then when I was younger, I was a little bit more like grew up pretty like privileged, so I was more that like liberals are cool. And then I actually like read about politics for the first time and I was like, damn, this party sucks. And then I kind of fell into Labour. I kind of explored some Greens policies. I would say like I'm a relatively progressive person, like in my beliefs and all that, but I just feel like, and maybe we can have a disagreement on that later, that Labour just made a bit more sense for this election. But I was like, I didn't know who I was voting for, whether it was Greens or Labour, until I walked into that voting booth. This time around. Even still, like you were sort of a little bit undecided.
I mean,
I love my interview with Ban. I walked away from that interview being like, damn, like this is a really cool guy. And then he lost his seat. And I was like, oh shit, that's really bad.
I know. I don't know. That one was like I don't know. He lost his seat for, I don't know. It's kind of a mixed bag there. Like, did he lose it because he was unpopular? Did he lose it for other reasons? I'm like one of those people that I don't necessarily think it's cope, but I think that the Greens didn't necessarily lose because they were unpopular. I think it was just like a whole bunch of other reasons, but that's like a in the weeds conversation about election preferences, all that kind of thing. But I think I would kind of classify myself as very similar, where like I went into the election, I didn't put Greens first on my ballot. I preferenced Labour over the Liberals. I kind of talk about this like here and there on my streams, which is if it was going to be a Labour minority government with the Greens, I'd love that. If it was going to be a Labour majority, I'm still happy with that. If it was going to be a Greens majority government, I would definitely think twice about putting the Greens first.
Yeah, fair.
Or like putting them above Labour or whatever. It's kind of like, I guess there's a bit of strategy in how like you place your preferences.
Yeah.
Depending on who looks like they're going to get in. I think a lot of people did that as well. And I think that's why Labour won so strongly, at least in my opinion. Anyway, I
agree with you. Yeah, no, that's good. It's an interesting conversation to have, and I would agree. I think it's a little bit of everything. I think Greens probably made some mistakes when it came to getting people to actually vote for them. I think Labour did an effective campaign of getting people to put them number one because people thought that was the only way to get Dutton out. And I think people at best, I think you're right. People would have preferred a kind of like split majority government with the Greens and the Labour, and maybe people were really scared of it being fully Greens, even though that was statistically impossible.
No, it's not going to happen. It's more like the hypothetical, like fantasizing about the hypothetical of what a Greens majority would be. I think a lot of people would question whether they actually want that, because I think a lot of people like the balance of power, not necessarily like a domination of power when it comes to Greens. I can't talk for other people, but that's probably how I feel.
Well, yeah, I feel the same. Like I think I said it in my like video, my aftermath video of the election, where I think I say like I don't like the fact, as much as I am a huge Labour supporter, like I actually really don't like the idea that Labour is kind of having this, monopoly on politics, because I think other parties do serve a purpose, and it is a little bit scary when there are just these huge victories over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think it's good. Like they got a balance of power in the Senate at the moment where they don't have the majority, which is nice. It's kind of scary to imagine any party having a super majority in both houses. I don't like the idea of that for Labour. I didn't like that for the Liberal Party. It's kind of nice to have other parties held to account as well. It's also just like a reflection of the democracy of Australia. I think it's kind of fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool. We got a really awesome system. It's much better than the US. I'm so thankful we don't have that at all.
Yeah, same. Okay, I'm trying to think of how to segue into my thoughts on your video. I feel like a lot of it is just trying to I guess I was just trying to reapproach my understanding of what you knew about my video. Obviously, there was the call response and then my response. So my initial post about negative gearing. Then there was Geordie's response to my posts. And then there was my third response. I know that you saw it, but I don't think you included much of that in your video. I think that was my main frustration, is that the sentiment of what my final response was to his video about me, I feel like really outlined exactly how he, I would say he misconstrued me to the point where it made me look like I didn't say something that I did. And that was his entire claim, was that I omitted a paragraph, which I actually did include. And that felt like incredibly like sinister on his behalf. I do believe he did that on purpose to try and make me look stupid, I guess. He accuses me of being stupid with this misconstruction. And I think my frustration was that you saw that video because you included parts of it, but you didn't include the part where he did completely misconstrue that point. I think that's my main frustration.
Yeah, so I think like I'm trying to remember a timeline for you, but I don't think I can. Like what it felt like is I think the whole script was done and I had recorded stuff.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I did.
And then I noticed you had your video and I was like, oh, okay. And I watched it. I was like, yeah, that's like fair. But I guess you're right. What I could have done is I could have added in something later or like added in like and expanded on that more rather than just like seeing it and leaving it there. What I was really hesitant to do as well is like, I didn't want to just make the claim that like anyone was knowingly lying. And I think it's really fair to feel that. But I think my whole point is like, when we kind of have that as our basis of like everyone is knowing or quote unquote like knowingly lying about each other, we get into this really horrible position of like all actual like conversation we can have is gone. Yeah. So I know as well, like you took claim with the way I described it as like attacking. I think that's fair. Probably, you know, more hyperbolic in my language there, and it gave more of this like idea that you two were doing the same thing to each other, or that the nature of the way you were disagreeing each other was the same. I will say though, I feel like the kind of calling him a mouthpiece or talking about how like his lines were like in line with Labor, I think that probably does give like enough of the indication of like that the points themselves aren't valid and more so you are acting as a mouthpiece. I'd see that as somewhat of like an attack, but I guess I take your point that it felt like, considering what you said specifically in the negative gearing video and the extent to which he made that response, like that did not feel fair, and I'll take that. And I own that. I should have used different language there, and I'll be more aware of how I frame stuff like that, especially for like smaller channels in the future. I think it's a really fair critique there.
Yeah, I think obviously you saw my clips yesterday of like me watching your videos and whatever. I think a lot of that frustration was not directed at you necessarily, but it's the culmination of, or not only Geordie's video, but sort of the narrative that has like swamped my way, that everyone does think that I'm just this dishonest, out of context clipping, misconstruing, like Green's mouthpiece liar. And I think that I was like projecting that onto your video. And I think that it was probably a little bit unfair. And that's why I wanted to add that extra context of that Add You chapter, because it did like reframe how I think you're approaching it, which I think is very fair. I do really like, specifically really like your ability to steelman my argument. That was really validating to actually have people understand what my central argument was, especially because Geordie didn't do that. That was very nice to have that included in the video. I think I was a little bit disappointed that, and again, I'm not like that familiar with your content, so I don't really know the kind of depths that you do go to. Maybe you're just sort of commentating on the Geordie's stuff as you see it. You did make the point, I saved the quote, and maybe it's just misworded, I'm not too sure, but you said, if you attack the strongest version of the argument, my argument about negative gearing, from the moment she said it, this video would have been disproven before it even came out. Which is, I kind of wanted to query that, because you do say like it can be disproven. Obviously, maybe you're not necessarily here to have that debate necessarily, but it kind of feels like you do align with the fact that what I'm saying is incorrect.
So what I was trying to say, and it clearly just wasn't clear enough, is that what I was trying to say that is if Jordan believed that you did not know what you were talking about, or that you were trying to make the claim that negative gearing should be taken to an election, or that Labor is doing the wrong thing in and of itself with trying to take negative gearing. If you had initially attacked that point and substantially went into the idea of, is it worth having the political capital on? Is it actually that meaningful to the housing market? Is it the right choice for the party to make? That would have been the thing that disproves it. I don't think anyone does disagree that it was the narratives, that it wasn't the policy itself. And I think the way I have worded that, you're right in critiquing that, and it does come off as I am giving credence to the idea that there is a like counter evidence to that, or that there is an argument to be made that it was the policy itself that was the problem. When you're right, all of the information I was able to find and what you were able to, you know, prove and show is that it was the narratives around that instead. But if he did disagree with you substantially on that, which I think he does, if he had attacked that point instead of the surface level stuff, that would have been the thing that immediately proved your video wrong within that context. That's what I was trying to say there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, I'm following. Like the hypothetical of, if he did believe I was wrong, why did he not face the strongest point of my argument with actual criticism rather than the way he did go about it?
Yes, and that's because I think at some point, either before that or after that, I say that thing of like, if you believe your argument is the strongest, why not go after the strongest version of theirs? Because that then, in theory, made that if you had a response video, you would be able to stop it in the first place. That was the point that was trying to be made there.
Yeah, I think like we both agree, which was, I found like we both agree that it was a shame that the substance of the argument wasn't actually addressed.
Yes, and I blame him more for that than you, to be explicitly clear on that. And I hope that was shown in the video.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that is self-evident just by his post in general. Like my follow-up video as well, I did dive into the initial script had me diving into the weeds of exactly what caused Labour to lose that election.
Yeah.
But then I was like, why am I doing all of this information, like all of this deep dive for someone that's actually not even properly understood my central argument in the first place? And so I just didn't even bother responding with like something of substance. Although I have the ability to do that, you may have seen like the rest of my stream last night was just going through the entire report and actually figuring out exactly why Labour lost that election.
Yeah, because I was looking for you responding to mine, and I was like, I can't find it. And I saw it 2 hours in. I was like, this is a 9 hour stream. And I looked at the end, and you hadn't watched any more of my video, and I'm like, what happened last night? Like, what happened during this stream?
It's a classic. Look, it's the culmination of, it's not just your video. It's like the whole thing. It's just everyone telling me that like what I'm saying is stupid, everyone implying that I'm stupid, Geordie's insinuating that I'm an idiot by clipping me out of context and everything. I just wanted to like get over the top of it and be like, okay, we're gonna figure out exactly what happened in the fucking 2019 election. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, let's get to the specifics so that way no one can disagree on it. Yeah, which is unfortunate because like, again, I think that was my broader point. Like, that would have been way better. That would have been a way more interesting conversation. But I think the funny thing is, like, we will all come to the same conclusion that it was the narratives.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting disagreement, and like, I don't know, we can talk about it a little bit, but I don't have like too much time, is like, is it worth spending political capital on? And it seems like Joy's answer is no. And it seems like from the small stuff I've seen of yours, your answer is, yeah, it might be worth it. That would have been way better to see. But instead, we didn't get that. We got Geordie's kind of going, you know, you're maliciously lying and you can't read and you're an anemic something? I don't even remember what he said.
It was like dead-eyed, anemic, atrophy-brained, impressively stupid mollusk woman, something. I think it was a bit more in there. It's great.
Should have included that one. The Adu stuff was brutal too. For 4 hours, you copped one. You got 3 minutes. He copped 4 hours. That was rough.
Expecting him to respond to mine somehow, maybe like a live stream, whatever. But I don't know. I think he jumped the gun on my post. Like I've kind of said this, and you can go to my pages and whatever and see that I haven't started sharing political posts for very long at all. I have been streaming for like 4 years. I've been doing like political stuff for maybe like 7-8 months, but I hadn't started posting my like clipped content until like a month or two ago. And it just so happened to be like this Friendly Geordie stuff that I was bouncing off of, not because I wanted to like incite him in an argument or whatever, but that just happened to be what I was watching in the lead up to the election that ended up being like clippable. And it like I was just so like, I was so disappointed that this was like the content that like shot up, because it's not great stuff. I admit that it's not great clips. It's like cut up heaps. I'm not very good at articulating my point. I think it could be said like incredibly better just generally. And I was disappointed that he like jumped the gun and responded to this stuff so quickly, because then I had to formulate my response, and I didn't feel ready to necessarily do that. I kind of just wanted more time to cook and, you know, establish myself.
Yeah. Look, it's weird in hindsight of like, because again, I knew Adu and I'd seen Geordie's, but I only saw your stuff when this was all happening. And like I didn't really have a strong impression because I was just going off like that core argument. Like, and then I watched your I saw your follow-up video when like when the day it came out, and I was like, oh, this is like good content. I like this. I agree with this. I get the point she was making, and I'm glad like I understood her point correctly.
Yeah.
But like, it really is strange how quickly, because I don't think Geordies knew who you were before this, how quickly you really did get lumped into that insane, greeny, lefty, anemic, all of that
like,
rhetoric.
Look, I get it too. I get it too. You saw
wild.
me getting like so mad at you yesterday on my stream. And like, here I am like having de-radicalized myself and like had a moment to be like, okay, maybe he's not actually attacking me like everyone else is attacking me. And like, I can apply that to him and he probably feels that way. And I think that's fair, but also I think it's kind of hard for me like down here to be like, pointing up at him, be like, you shouldn't use your platform in the way you're doing it, because I'm kind of like, I guess, doing the same thing. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell someone in that position what they should be doing with their platform, but it's definitely like he has a big authorization when he posts his content. And so I think to like the way that he misconstrued my videos, and I would call it deceptive because he's not a stupid guy. I think he is a very smart person. I think he does a lot of good stuff. Like I used to Patreon to him heaps. I like donated to the Barrett Laro stuff. I do like Geordie's stuff. I never like wanted to start this massive argument. I guess you can kind of say that that's hypocritical given some of my clips. But it's just been frustrating. Sorry, I lost my train of thought on that one, but
no, that's all good. Like, I agree with you. I think something I am aware of, and it was interesting, and I think I got lucky in the sense of like my main platform, or what used to be my main platform, was TikTok, and I grew like a decent following there. So like I would fight with some people, and I used to be really aggressive. I used to be like the classic debate bro, aggressive, like, can I get a source on that? Like just real aggressive, intense stuff. And I remember I had a couple of small creators kind of make the same argument to me, and it's like you have that thought of being like, why do I want to listen to these people who aren't, you know, like having the same growth, having the same progress? But then like what I think is really important is kind of like be like, okay, that's actually fully your ego talking. You're not special. Like get it together and actually think. And it's hard then when we can be like, okay, sure, you are bigger than like all of us by hundreds of times of magnitude. But at the same time, like just because it's working doesn't mean it's right. And it feels like this immediate, intense ad hom and you're an extremist and you shouldn't be listened to or you're lying about me. Like I get why he feels that way. So I included that part at the beginning, that if I dedicated my life to politics, if I grew up with this party supporting me, and then, you know, had these lawsuits and had the threats in my life and all that, and I had these like small content creators kind of nipping at me, like I'd probably get frustrated too. But at the same time, like that doesn't mean the aggressively going after every
it doesn't excuse the behavior. It's understandable to explain it. It doesn't excuse it for sure though.
Yes.
But we agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in my videos, like I'm aware that like it always sucks to get criticism as well, and I particularly me, my girlfriend tells me all the time, she's like, Sam, I love you, but you can come off as a real asshole, and it's like, so I try and be aware of that, but also like I get that as well. Like you probably saw me like attacking the points kind of in like a similar way, and then it's really until like 50% through the video where you probably get a bit more of a chance to be like, oh wait, I kind of get the broader point he's making now.
Yeah,
and not to attack me personally. Yeah,
I think that's what why I wanted to show the Adu chapter as well, is because that kind of like de-radicalized me from the point of like, this is just another attack dog coming for me, whatever. I feel like maybe it was just I don't know, but the main part of what I was frustrated about was the fact that you were okay. It's I don't want to have a go at you because I think I'm just getting lumped in as like a last person for this whole thing. I've kind of just been dragged into this drama in a way, in a sense. But it was kind of frustrating seeing you give the benefit of saying that like Adu can be misconstrued, just like Geordie's can be misconstrued. But then like not also applying that to my video. And I think that's fine. Sure. I'm new. I can see like the ability to like the possibility for that just to be overlooked and everything. But that was my main problem with this.
Yeah, no, that's really fair. I think what I did was, and again, it's good for me to know because I can be aware of how I word things in the future. I actually thought by showing your video and saying like, this was actually her argument, that was more of the strongest way of saying like, she's been misconstrued.
Yeah.
Right, but I get I get for the others, I was explicitly clear of saying like, this is being misconstrued or this could be misconstrued. But for you, I never said it directly. In my mind, that was actually the strongest way of doing that. But I get I should have been more explicit in like just, verbalizing that to an audience. And I'll take that on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good for me to know.
That's fine. My main frustration with Jordy's is like there were two main things. It was the fact that he completely misconstrued my central argument, the one that you steelman like fantastically.
Yeah.
But then also like completely clipping the part where he said she didn't read this paragraph, but if he continued playing my clip for another 5 seconds, he would have seen me read that exact sentiment. And like that, I think, was the worst part. That was like the shocker where I was like, hold on. It's not just that he doesn't understand my central argument. It's that he's like actively lying about my clips, like actively lying, actively clipping them up in the way that he is so upset about other people doing to him. Like it just feels like such a, I don't know, like such a crime on like clip chimping someone.
Yeah, it's ironic it happened, given all the Adu stuff. Like, if I'm being charitable from his perspective, like, I think what it was is he really got fixated on that title. So, like, you reading it later didn't matter because in his mind, it felt as though you were still substantially misconstruing that, like, Labour wasn't aware. But again, like I think that's the boring conversation, and that's my frustration. That if we do this, well, you read this thing wrong, or you titled this strangely, like it was clickbait. That's what it was. It was clickbait, and we all clickbait videos. It's how we're going to get people to see it. But like this, the actual point you were making, there was like a good conversation to be had there. Yeah, and I don't know if it was just like blind defensiveness, or he just didn't trust you to actually hold that position, or it was just like this kind of immediate reaction. Look, it could have been purposeful, but I don't think there's value in that, even if it's necessarily true. I would rather, even if someone was doing it purposefully, I would rather act as if they weren't, because at least then there's more debate to be had there. Like, the only person I have ever kind of held the belief of is like, you're genuinely and purposely lying about things, in my opinion, is Hugo, the Ozpil guy, when I had like all of my big fights with him. Like, that's the only
I don't know him. Have you got like a back and forth with him on your channel?
Oh, God, I hesitantly say, without taking on all the blame, I hesitantly say I started that guy's arc into potential beliefs by accident.
I don't know who he is, but I'm like new to again, I've been like streaming for 4 years, but I'm very much new to the whole Ozpol scene. Like, this was the first video I saw of yours, but like I'm so excited to see more content from you and like everyone else as well. I don't even know who this Hugo guy is. You haven't run into
Ozpil yet. You've you know what? I'll leave that for you. That's
What's he? Hugo Ozpil?
Yeah. Hugo Lennon or Ozpil?
Hugo.
You look him up on.
What's Ozpil? We need to talk about Hugo. Okay, awesome. I'll look him up later. That'll be fun.
Yeah, go to his TikTok. Wait, actually, go to his TikTok right now. Let's because if you go to his TikTok right now, you'll see the kind of vibe of like
this guy.
I think it's like.
Oh, other guy?
No, that guy. Top
Ozpil.
link Ozpil. Yeah, that's him. He got him.
Oh, this is the guy that Adu talks about. Oh, he's with Sam Hyde. Jesus.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Guy.
Oh God, that's gonna be fun.
He's the only person who, in my opinion, I think knowingly lies about stuff. And Adu, him and I, I believe I am the first person he ever spoke to in the kind of Australian political space. We had a debate and he was normal, and then all of a sudden it kind of went down.
Yeah.
From there. But he's the only person. Other than that, though, I think like at least if you believe people are like trying their hardest, or like even like, again, a point I make is like the negligent misinformation, or the I am so upset and defensive that I am just making points out of like a space of emotion.
Yeah.
At least that's a better conversation to be having. And I'll even frame that for him. Because with all
I do agree, but I do agree, but like the fact that he completely lied about something that he says I didn't say that I did say, the fact that he just completely lied meant that I had to make in a video that was like more attacky back rather than actually about the substance. Like, it was so it was so frustrating that like this happened at the start of my career, so I'm like new to the whole like debatey part, I guess. But it was also just a shame that he kind of like, I think this is basically what you were saying in your video, that he just shut down any possibility for a deeper conversation about these things, especially something like negative gearing. And like you said, like it might be the case that negative gearing and the capital gains tax discount isn't as good for us, or it is, but like that conversation wasn't able to be had by anyone because of the way this was handled.
And I think like the Adu one is what happened to you was like bad, but like I think the Adu one is even more egregious, where it was this 4 hour you're knowingly and maliciously lying, you know, and then when he's in the chat, it's like, no, I don't want to talk to you because that's exactly what you want. When again, like, and I think, and Adu will admit it, and I had the conversation with him like privately. It was like this wasn't a good video. Like in hindsight, I've rewatched this. Like there are some kind of bad points made in this video, but like the sources are also in the description.
Yeah.
Like so it's the framing of it as like this guy is knowingly and maliciously lying about me, and he's a radical extremist with no friends and all this other, you know, like it just felt weird, and I don't know why that's happening, but that was kind of the point of my video of like, this is a really strange way to be having these conversations. It can't be good for anyone. Like there is no value here whatsoever. And I had a lot of people in his audience kind of comment on my video, and some of it's fair, being like, you know, but you know, they are trying to take Geordie's content out of context, and it's malicious on their part, which we've already spoken about that, or just the fact people being like, well, no, because people are just attacking him and he's going to keep growing. And like, you know, then everyone who sees these people attacking him are never going to want to like,
it's not a crime for people to weigh in on Friendly Geordie's content. Like, it's fine. Like, you can accuse them of like doing it for clickbait and whatever. But like, if what they're saying is substantial, it doesn't matter whether or not they're doing it for clicks and views. If they have something substantial to say, they have something substantial to say. He doesn't just get like that right of no one attacking him just because he's the first or biggest guy on the platform.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that's the point, that there are things that were worthwhile challenging. And it feels like, and now you and I might disagree on this, but I haven't gone through all of his live streams and stuff. I kind of took everything that was happening at face value.
Yeah.
I have noticed that like his audience has been relatively friendly to me. I'll give them full credit for that.
Yeah.
But like there does seem to be this kind of like old guard that's weirdly like defensive of everything, and it's like, okay, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Like who are these kind of people on the outside?
Yeah.
Which that has been interesting.
It's also like the justification. I just got to rant about this. It's not that I'm not hurt by the ad hom. I just think it's so useless. But then there's people in the comments as well that are like, we're really upset because Friendly Geordies said like some mean things. Like this is just what Friendly Geordies is going to do. It's like, that doesn't justify it. Just because that's what he does and we know that's what he does doesn't justify that behavior. It doesn't make it okay. It's frustrating. Yeah. So like all these little arguments happening around an actual potential conversation around something constructive.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's they were saying that in my comment section too, of like, oh, like the ad homs are what make it entertaining, or that it's like the educational stuff around the ad homs. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. Again, when I was doing like my super intense debate stuff, like ad homs had a real role to play, but at the same time, we were doing it in a debate. It was a tactic. You knew what you were doing when you were ad homing. And the point was that it made them worse. That when you did it alongside a really strong, compelling argument, that was more like good faith and it was more effective. But let's be explicitly clear. It was more effective because alongside the substantive claim, you were also denigrating them in an effective way. Don't tell me it's like, oh, like it really does meaningfully make things better. No, it doesn't. It makes you look more effective, right?
Yeah.
Don't lie to me on that point.
And it just like it did feel like a bit of a sport. I don't know, just a brawl, really, with no substance. Which I don't know. Yeah, again, disappointing. I'm disappointed it went down the way that it did. That being said, I've benefited from it fantastically. Like it kind of shot me into semi-relevance way before I think I'd ever deserved it. I don't think my clips deserve that attention whatsoever. And like you saw the quality of like my bite back video, I was like, okay, I gotta up the production value here, and I have, which is nice to get that experience, I guess. But it's just a shame. I want to have a conversation about the potential for negative gearing. I think something that I'm gonna try and look into more is like negative gearing, not on its own, capital gains tax discount coupled in there, and try and wrap my head around just how important it is to do something about it. I think that's a really strong argument. And then coupled with this one as well, together, I think it's, I don't know. Like the end of my video really sums it up, which is if we're not going to do something about, or if we want to do something about negative gearing, we kind of have this mandate at the moment for Labour to get re-elected prior to America having their re-elections. They still have this anti-Trump rhetoric, the odds are that they will still have that in the next re-election. So why not tee up doing something about it now? We all understand there's a housing crisis. Just tee up. We got to let them do that. We have to give them permission to campaign on it. We can't pretend like they can't do it when they know they can, or they know that it wasn't why they lost.
Yeah, I think that's like a really good like conversation or like interesting video to see. Yeah, it's just funny because like you immediately got lumped in, or maybe it was Adu. I don't even remember. All of the like insults kept flying. Yeah. Like someone made a point about negative gearing or something, and it was like, oh, this is the what, Swollen Pickles argument? Is that his name? Yeah, it's on the screen. The Swollen Pickles argument. Which I don't know what his argument is. I've seen like 2 of his videos. Yeah. I know him and Jordan hate each other for some reason, or maybe it's a lot more one-sided of Jordan.
I think there's stuff there. I haven't seen much of his, but I think there is some sort of beef there. Yeah.
I'm pretty disconnected too. Like I've been doing like online stuff for a while, but like I kind of got more in the. I did a lot of stuff with The Voice, so I was like really kind of knew people from that, and then I just kind of did my own policy stuff. So like even I'm disconnected from some of the like Ozpol creators, especially at the beginning. I think a lot of people kind of got to know me as like the really aggressive debate bro guy. Like there are every so often like someone will be like, check out this video, and it's like, okay, and I'm blocked after never interacting with them, and it's like, yeah, that's fair, but so like even I don't know all that background stuff.
That's kind of cool though. I think there's a void of debate bro content in Ozpol. I think it serves a purpose when it's good stuff, when it's actually productive and in front of the right people as well. So long as we're not just being like full on debate pubs.
Yeah, I think it's like what I've tried to do. I've tried to be a little more like reasonable now. Of like I'll pick my battles, and the only time I'm gonna be that like really aggressive style of thing is if someone is kind of having more extremist beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah, fair.
Which those conversations are miserable in and of themselves.
Yeah, but I think you're fair that the statement of me getting lumped in, I think that's I absolutely agree with that. I think I got lumped in. Maybe when I'm trying to like put myself in Geordie's shoes, I can see how that's possible. But at the same time, I don't know, taking a step back and having a second look at it might have been more worthwhile for this, having it being a constructive conversation. Otherwise, I don't know. I think we're on the same page. It was a nice conversation to have. Yeah, it was really good. It's nice to meet you too. I'm interested in watching more of your content. I'll give you a subscribe and everything, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, awesome. I like your stuff too. Look, keep in contact. Like, just what it is like I'm just trying to cover kind of everything, and I'm always like a message away. Like sometimes I'm a little bit busy and it takes me like days to respond, but it's like if I ever make a video or there's like ever like a panel or a research thing or whatever, like I'm always more than willing to like have a conversation with people and talk to them. Like I really just try and be as like chill of a human being.
Yeah, I love that.
As possible.
I love that. That is a really good way to go about it.
It's been good.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good rest of your Sunday. And I think it's a public holiday tomorrow, so enjoy.
Oh yeah, it is. That'll be really nice. Well, awesome. All the best with the rest of your stream. Talk to you when I talk to you then.
All right, thanks. See ya.
Yeah, bye.